How's it going, Chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, and I am finally back with another podcast. Sorry, I know it's been a minute, guys. Podcast has always been a bit of a crime of opportunity, and honestly, things have been kind of hectic for the last 6 months. But we're back with an exciting new episode, and today's guest won an episode of Moonshiner's Master Distiller with his recipe, Hunka Hunka Burnin' Love. Big Nick Carlo is going to go through the process of how to make that recipe and give us some sort of behind the scenes tidbits on how the show runs. I've always been kind of curious about that. How legit is it? Are they actually distilling alcohol? So on and so forth. So that's really exciting. If you haven't seen my video, I've already made a recipe on the main channel that was heavily inspired by Big Nick's recipe. So if you're here to get more interesting and more specific details on how he makes his recipe, you're in the right place. If you haven't seen that video yet, I thoroughly suggest you check it out because it is absolutely delicious, I have to say. I'll put details in the description down below for Nick's social media, website, and his peanut butter and banana moonshine is now commercially available, so I'll put a link for that as well. Let's get stuck in. So we're live with Nick Carlo. Thanks a bunch for doing this, dude. It's very cool to have you on. How are you, man?
Doing well. I appreciate you having me on. Staying busy.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't recognize Nick's face, you were recently on a Discovery show. You want to tell us what the show was and kind of the general outline of the show in case people haven't heard of it?
Yep. So it's an American show, a spinoff of Moonshiners, and it's called Master Distiller. Where three of the judges are well-known moonshiners in North America: Tim Smith, Mark Ramsey, and Digger Maines. Are the three judges, and then they choose three contestant moonshiners or professional distillers to compete against each other in a 3-round challenge.
Awesome. Very cool, man. And in terms of spoiler alerts, but the long and short of it is that you won.
Yeah.
You won your round.
I'm still kind of in shock about it. It's been a few months, and it still doesn't feel real. But, you know, it was an awesome time. Really fun.
That's really cool, dude. So I think to start with, I'd be keen to get your opinion on what these shows are like now that you've kind of had some behind the scenes experience on it. Because I'll be honest with you, dude, like when I first got into distilling, I started watching a little bit of Moonshiners and I just couldn't take it. I was like, no, I'm out. Screw this. This is terrible. But now looking back on it, now that I've got some more experience distilling and also probably more importantly, more experience in terms of making media, I think my aversion to it was not the core distilling. It was the reality TV stuff that kind of goes around it. It's just not my thing. And I find it really hard to consume media that's presented that way. It's just whatever. It's a preference thing, I guess. So I'd be interested to hear from you what it was like in terms of, and I know you maybe can't say everything. So for those listening, if it sounds like Nick's clamming up, it's probably because he's been told he's not allowed to give away the secrets too much. But yeah, let us know what it's like, dude, and what your take is on, what can you tell us about what's actually real on these things and what's just TV drama for the sake of TV drama and all of that sort of stuff.
Well, to start off, the whole process up until about 2 weeks before we started filming, I almost thought like I was in, like a police bus, like they were doing like an undercover sting on me. And I was very hesitant about the things I told them. But then once they, we got the hotel booked, we expect you here, this time, make sure you do your COVID test. And I was like, okay, all right, maybe this is legit. Everything's set up in another state. So, but yeah, I went in not knowing what to expect. I've never been around, like any kind of like television recording, anything like that. So I went in, a little, I guess you could say naive to the whole process. You know,
Right.
I thought, you know, it pretty much happens like you see it on TV, and it doesn't. You know, there's a lot of TV magic into it, and you know, we probably did, I would say, maybe 20 to 30 hours of filming just for that 40-minute episode. You know, so there was so
Yeah.
much good footage that didn't get in, but there was also a lot of footage I'm glad they didn't put in from, you know, things that happened behind the scenes. So.
I feel like a horrible person. I actually haven't watched the episode that you're in,
Oh.
which is terrible of me. I need to go and do that. Actually, also, I will, for anyone that's watching this, I'll put links down below. That is my homework. As soon as I get off here, I'll do that tonight instead of whatever, relaxing on the couch with the wife. But for anyone else that wants to follow along, I'll put links down there as well, for wherever people can, you know, go and find the show if they can. But so, did they have you doing stuff like were they asking you to re-say lines and stuff, or was it mostly they just set it up and like let it happen and then do it again?
It was a lot of it was improv. And if they really liked it, they were like, okay, let's get another angle of you saying the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Or they didn't like what you said, or if it was something you couldn't say due to continuity or like plug in like different social media channels, they'd go back, re-record and say, okay, say what you said, but say social media instead of YouTube or whatever, you know, wherever the case may be.
Yeah, cool.
But as far as like the actual process of it, like, you know, the mashing all the way to the final distilling process, it's all legitimate.
Yeah, right. So if how do I put it? If the video showed you adding something into a fermenter, that thing actually went into the fermenter and got fermented. It wasn't. There was no like fudgery on the recipe process side of things. They were pretty true to that.
No, it's pretty true to it. Like, you know, they leave definitely the amounts I use off of it, you know, just because, you know, they, you know, as part of the winning process, they do a limited run of your spirit at Sugarlands Distillery, which is like a well-renowned distillery in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, known for moonshine.
Yep. They're known pretty well for doing collaborations too, right? Like they do a lot of work with people from outside of the business.
Yeah,
to produce recipes.
They do, and they still have a lot of master distillers recipes that they need to do as well. But they do work with a lot of celebrities and to kind of do whatever flavor they choose or are excited about.
Okay, so that makes sense. So that they held back a little bit of IP in terms of not, you know, giving the exact recipe away on everything. That makes sense.
And I think from a legal standpoint too, as far as it being a show about moonshine in North America, when it's technically, you know, federally illegal in North America, that they have to hold back certain parts of the process too, like as far as how, you know, the whole, like basically not making it a how-to video of how to distill at home, if that makes sense.
Right. So they're not so worried about themselves getting in trouble. It's more that they don't want to be seen to be teaching kids how to make pipe bombs kind of thing. Like they don't want to be like people telling them off for telling people how to go out and do it themselves.
Right. Like this is the temperature. This is the temperature, you don't want to start pulling your four shots off of this. And, you know, they just don't want, And that's me assuming, like I'm not like an official giving a statement on that, but
that they didn't straight up tell you that. That's just the vibe you got from everything that happened.
I was going to say that, like, they give you enough to know that it's a peanut butter, you know, at least for mine, it's a peanut butter banana moonshine, but just not to include the quantities or certain little things that we did to make it happen.
Yeah, cool. I mean, also, I have to imagine there's a large viewership for those sorts of shows that just kind of like the vibe and the culture and the idea. The same as people would watch, you know, reality, like a cooking show. There's a bunch of people that watch cooking shows that don't go and make the recipes, right? They just kind of like dig it. And for those people, if that kind of person's watching, they don't care about the exact quantities or exact measurements or, they just want to get the vibe of the recipe. So I can see it from that point of view as well. It also seems to me a little bit like Master Distiller is more focused on the recipes and less focused on kind of the personality and the drama around it. Like Moonshiners was a little bit more kind of personality driven. Does that? Yeah. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree with it. And I see it more as more reality than the actual Moonshiner show. And with that, they're bringing people who don't have experience in front of the camera and who are in their pretty much in their sheds making this at home. And to me that adds a little bit more reality point to it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny, isn't it? Because Moonshiners is more reality TV to me, which is less real. And the Master Distiller is more actually real than reality TV, which is, I think I've just got a dirty taste in my mouth from reality TV in general. And because I knew that Master Distiller was associated with Moonshiners, I just kind of lumped it into the same bag without giving it a fair chance. So I'm really grateful you reached out, dude. Because now I'm going to go back and watch. I'll go back and start watching through it again. And, I have to watch the episode you're in now, obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, and it's really neat too, because it's not, they go through thousands of applicants and it's a pretty extensive interview process, like, video interviews and, asking you the same questions they did like 4 months ago to make sure like you're on the up and up and you actually know what you're doing. And, and then you're competing against professional distillers who do it for a living too. So, for me, the biggest reward of it, whether I won or lost, was to have, these three guys that I see as like the gods of moonshine, to taste it and tell me what they really thought. Like they could have told me like, quit distilling, sell your stuff. And, just to
the day job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. So who else were you competing with? Who was on your...
So another guy from my home state, Devon, and then Faye from New Jersey, who's actually a professional distiller. Me and Devon were more the outlaw backwoods distillers, and Faye comes from a more professional background in it. She has a degree in chemistry. Like she's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. Like just really knows her stuff as far as the exact ingredients, writing everything down. I'm sitting there working by memory, taste, so.
That's a good point, actually, dude. It kind of, I'm assuming that you worked in relatively close quarters with the other two people. Like, did you find yourself, was it more a case of, oh, well, I'm competing against these people and everyone was kind of being secretive? Or was it more that it was just kind of fun to be around people that are into the same thing as you and you get in from each other? Like, what sort of environment was it off camera?
Well, in the area I live in, I'm kind of like a loner when it comes to, moonshine. I don't have that community. So like being able to meet people who actually enjoy doing it, and especially it was my first time meeting a professional distiller too. Instantly, I feel like we were friends, like all three of us, comparing ideas to techniques. Faye, she really comes in with like the hard chemistry part of it and is able to give different advice, like with stuck fermentations, things like that. It's we all just kind of bounced ideas off each other, for future things that we want to do.
Even in New Zealand, it feels like that. So I recently I drove down to Porirua, down to Wellington, and one of the local brew shop owners organized a get together. And it was basically like a Q&A evening. I just hung out and answered questions all night. And the crazy thing was, man, there's probably 60, I don't know, I'm guessing, maybe 45 to 60 people turned up. And people turned up in twos and threes in terms of, a group of, I think the largest friend group that turned up was 4 people that all knew each other and came together. And they all came from a very small area. It was like, I think the person that drove the furthest was like an hour drive, and no one knew anyone else. Like no one had hung out with other people. And whenever we weren't officially doing anything and talking, everyone was just super excited to be hanging out and like cross-pollinating ideas and, hey man, we should meet up and, you know, whatever, try this or do that, or have you ever tried this? It's crazy. It's such an insulated community in terms of, like you said, it's like loners in their shed. Right? And in New Zealand, it's completely legal. So, you know, I don't know. I feel like it'd be nice to start breaking that down a little bit more, and because you learn so much more, right? Like when you can talk to someone and share ideas. This is what I tried, and I fucked up. It didn't work. You know, like I can learn from your mistakes, and you from mine.
Well, and there's so much good information on the internet, but there's also a lot of bad information on the internet. You know, and there's a lot of trial and error with it. Like, you know, I didn't. You know, a lot of moonshiners that I've met, you know, they're second, third generation. They've been taught by previous, you know, fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, my grandfather passed before he could pass like his knowledge down to me, or before I even really knew he did moonshine. But, you know, we actually have a gathering, in Maggie Valley. It's called Hillbilly Jam, and it's where like moonshiners from all over the country come together, and you know they meet up, they talk about what they've been doing, like everyone's tasting each other's, you know, products, and I really never knew about it until the show, and I went this past fall. They do it like once a quarter, and I went this past fall, and just, you know, for no one to know who I am, man, people just welcome you with open arms, like. It's really like a second family.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't know what it was like at Hillbilly Jam, but I've found when I meet people wherever in America and New Zealand and from Australia, it seems like the only thing that links everyone is distilling. Like there's such a wide variety of people. Like if you put all of those people together in a room and ask someone from the outside, like what's the commonality between all these people, they'd say there is none. Maybe that they're mostly dudes. It's like 80% dudes, and probably 70% of those have got a beer gut like mine. But other than that, and beards, I guess, beards. Lots and lots of beards. But, you know, there'll be doctors and lawyers and surgeons and janitors and construction workers and pilots and chemists. It's such a weird hobby like that.
It really is, and it's one of those things where, you know, it's almost like a gateway drug, you could say, for alcohol. You know, like I got started doing wines and meads, and then I ended up having so much product laying around. I was like, I've got to do something with it, and then I bought a little cheap still and started distilling, and like I was hooked, man. I just started pouring money into it, like got a bigger setup and.
It's funny though, dude. A lot of people I talk to, because once again, looking at it from the outside, right? If you stop the random person on the street and ask them, what do you think of home distilling? Probably one of the larger objections is, oh, well, I think alcoholism is bad. But normally when you talk to people that really get into it, I'm sure there's some people that do it just to make booze and, you know, like they want large quantities of high ABV stuff to get fucked up on. But then there's also a really large percentage of the people that get into it and they get geekier and geekier and geekier. And suddenly the getting drunk gets in the way of, like, I don't want to get drunk because I want to be able to taste this properly and really understand it. And I want to be able to try 15 different things in a night. But by the time I get to 7 or 8, I know that I'm not doing a good job of evaluating these things. You know, it's weird. Like, so I drink way less now than I did before I got into this, because it's a hobby completely and utterly separated from drinking, I guess.
Right. Well, it's a craft. I mean, like,
exactly. Yeah.
And you take pride in doing that, you know, and, you know, my wife, she has me on a limit of getting like drunk 1 or 2 times a year. But I'm like,
there you go, right? Like that's crazy. Like if people, if the assumption, if you took a random person off the street and told them what we were talking about and showed them a picture of you and me, they'd be like, oh, they're getting like shit-faced 3 times a week. That would be their assumption. Twice a year. It's hilarious.
Well, and you were talking about geeking out. The other day, I met, I work for the airport, and I met another distiller who does the same thing. Very clean-cut guy, like very, totally complete opposite of me. And we, I had another friend with me, and we're talking about distilling and different techniques, and this friend is like totally tuned out. Like, you don't realize how much you geek out on it until you meet someone else who does the same thing.
Yeah, that's perfect, actually, dude. That brings it full circle. Why I started talking about that is it's a group of people that have nothing together, nothing in common, until you realize that you've got something in common, and then that's the only thing that matters for the next 3 hours, right? Because finally you can talk to someone that understands and cares about all of the little things that you care about. That like my wife enjoys. She loves whiskey as a hobby in terms of drinking and appreciating really nice whiskey. She loves it. She couldn't give a flying fornication about how you make it. She just doesn't care. So I can't, I can share the whiskey with her and I can share the gin with her, but I can't share the process. It's not what she's into, which is fine. But when I find someone like you, then we can talk about it, which is pretty cool. So I definitely want to get into the recipe that you made on the show. But maybe first, let us know what the other 2 contestants made.
All right. Well, I think the best place to start is what our challenge was for the show. And that
even better idea. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So each of us they gave us $30 to produce 20 gallons of mash. Anything that we grew or foraged, though, counted for free. So for me, I grow my own heirloom corn, dry it out, grind it down, sometimes malt it. And just so happened, like, I had about 30 pounds in the freezer ready to go. So I knew as soon as they told me what my challenge was going to be, like where where I was going to get that. And for my sugar content, to help bring that ABV up, I always try to go all grain as much as can and just, add the sugar where needed to get it where I want my ABV to be. But I actually have honeybees on my property, so I used the honey as the excess sugar. So really all my money, all that $30 was in powdered peanut butter for me. So
awesome. And what did let's get back to that. I want to go into yours in detail, but I'm interested to hear what the other 2 made as a comparison to what you made.
So Devon, he had bought some corn from a friend. He got it at a discount, and he ended up doing a watermelon flavored moonshine, which tasted phenomenal. Used fresh watermelon, and somehow it came out tasting like Jolly Ranchers. Like I've never tasted anything like it. And Faye, Faye was shooting for like a fruit limoncello, and nice. It was probably one of the most complex drinks I've ever tasted. Like so many different layers of fruit. They were definitely fierce competitors. Like they know what they're doing for sure.
For the watermelon, he made basically a white corn whiskey, a corn moonshine, and then macerated fresh watermelon into it afterwards?
First round they go by. We just do basically a pot distillation, no thumper or anything. And they, whoever's closest to 100 proof and it tastes good. They put us in order of Steel Park picks. So 2 of us end up with thumpers, 1 of us did not. So he ended up putting his watermelon like slurry into the thumper. So his original recipe was corn and then macerated with pretty much with watermelon.
And the essentially limoncello, was it only lemons in there, or did she have other fruit in there as well?
So she started out with a barley malt, like 100% barley malt and sugar. which I've never really seen that process before, and it smelled amazing.
Awesome.
And then same thing. So she, with her working at a distillery, she used fruits that they had left over for garnishes and stuff, and made like her own like fruit leather from them, and used that to hanging there almost like a gin basket.
Oh, that's crazy. That's kind of cool.
She suspended them in the pot, and then I guess it carried over with the vapor path.
Yeah, that's really cool. So she was the one that didn't have the thumper?
Yeah, she was the one that did not have the thumper. But funny story is that she had second pick. I had the last pick. Like, I felt like I was the underdog the whole way through.
Oh, yeah.
So she chose not to get the thumper just because, like, she doesn't use one in her home distillery. She's used to doing things like that, and she went with what she knew.
Yeah, cool. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably do the same thing. I've yet to use a thumper. I've recently probably had my mind changed a little bit about I should really give it a nudge. I was kind of under the impression that a thumper was kind of like either a worse version of a gin basket or a worse version of plates. But yeah, I think I've had my mind changed, so you don't need to convince me now. I'll try it soon.
Well, and getting off topic, thumper's good for some things and some things it's not. There's been times that I'll use my thumper, and there'll be some times that I don't. There'll be a time that I use 3 of them. Like, it depends on what I'm trying to do and what I want to do.
All right, dude. So let's talk your recipe. Now, I know that we can talk about that after we've talked about the recipe, but I know there's some reasons where you might not be able to give everything away. So we understand that. But talk us through from beginning to end, dude. So you started with the corn.
Yep, started with the corn. So they only gave us, I believe, an hour to mash in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's tight.
It's really tight when you're trying to do all grain. So I was, I really found out like the day before because, I was reading through things and I saw that and I was like, oh, I thought I was going to have a full time to really, cook the corn, like draw out the sugar. And like, so I soaked my corn and stuff the night before to kind of help open up some of that starchiness. So, I had a mix of, go ahead.
Oh, so you were allowed to soak it, but you weren't allowed to cook it the night before?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
you just kind of wanted to hydrate it a little bit and get it ready to rock, like so you can literally just turn the fire on.
Oh yeah.
When you walk in, yeah. Okay, and so what did you use for enzymes? Did you add barley or did you use bottled enzymes with the corn?
Malted corn. So I actually malted some popcorn.
Okay.
And I got that idea from another video I saw on YouTube of how to do your own malted corn. So nice. Malted the corn, ground it down. So I pretty much had all corn for my grains.
That's interesting because every time I've had malted corn, the diastatic power has been slim to none. So I'm impressed that you got enough diastatic power to convert the corn itself that was malted and more corn. I haven't played, I don't know popcorn though. Oh, by the way, was the video Bearded and Bored on YouTube?
It was Bearded and Bored actually.
Yeah, shout out to Bearded.
Yeah, beards stick together.
Yeah, bro. That's a really good video. Bearded is in my opinion, one of your best videos, dude. So if anyone hasn't seen it yet and they're interested, it's a really good resource for how to deal with corn. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Carry on, sir. So you've got the corn soaked. You used malted popcorn for enzymes.
Yeah.
And were you dude? Even with the corn being already in the water and ready to just fire up, how the hell did you gelatinize and mash in 1 hour, or did you just roll with it and?
I just rolled with it and just like prayed to the moonshine gods that it was going to work out. And with mine, I brought a half gallon of honey too, so I knew I had some sugar there, like if things didn't happen. And then I use powdered peanut butter for my main source of my flavoring. So I started out with fermentation on that. And it had a little bit of sugar in it too. So I knew if anything, I was going to have a low grade beer.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, the mash doesn't work, but you're going to get some alcohol out of the peanut butter and a decent amount out of the honey. So you added the powdered peanut butter into, like, at fermentation stage. It fermented with the powdered peanut butter in it.
Yep. And then, and it just a phenomenal smell. When I do this at home, like I don't use the honey, I just use regular sugar. But like it just smelled really amazing to the point where I've considered using honey in it. When I do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, right. Every time I've used honey or tried something with honey, I've been really surprised and impressed with the amount of flavor that carries through from it. Like, I kind of thought it would be one of those things that doesn't, like if you used 100% honey, you'd get a little bit of honey flavor at the end. But it's kind of not, dude. Like, every time I've tried it, it's pretty impressive, the flavor contribution it gives. And even more impressive, perhaps, is the fact that it seems to be one of those things that actually tastes like itself after distillation.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same. The stuff I've had tends to be more like honeycomb. Like, it's weird. It goes back to that kind of a little bit waxy flavor, which is awesome though. So I could see that working really well with corn and peanut butter. That would be dope. So you got the corn in there, the popcorn in there, the peanut butter in there, and the honey went in.
Yeah.
I imagine at the beginning of fermentation as well.
Oh yeah. Just to try to break it down into, dextrose and just really trying to break that sugar down as much as possible for the yeast to eat on it.
You mean you boiled the sugar as well? The honey.
Yeah,
okay,
I
cool.
boiled everything together.
Yeah.
So
so the peanut butter went in to the boil. So you boiled and mashed with the peanut butter as well.
Yep.
Oh, okay, dude. Sorry. I thought you added it in afterwards. Right, I'm with you now. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what did you do for fermentation? Was there temperature control? What yeast did you use?
Yeah, temperature controlled. So I pitched yeast in at about 90 degrees. And what they do is, they let it ferment for 5 days. So you have 5 days to also get a full fermentation in.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, that's kind of, that's pretty brutal. Okay. So I'm doing the conversion now. That's 32 degrees Celsius for those at home. Okay. So you didn't get the opportunity to really baby the fermentation. You had to push it towards cranking to make sure that it fermented in 5 days.
Oh, absolutely. And to me, that was one of the most stressful parts because, you go home for 5 days and you're constantly worrying, like, well, what if they left it open? Like, what if, I get lacto on top of it? What if, it didn't ferment? It's not like when you're at home.
So it was like, you're not allowed to see it. You're not allowed to touch it. Like, you just hope like hell that it's, oh God.
And there's been times where other contestants, and it happened actually this season, where theirs didn't ferment at all. Like something went wrong, whether it was, bad yeast or whatever, but, didn't even ferment just a little bit. So,
oh no.
Oh yeah. And to me, that's gotta be the worst feeling though. But, when I went in there and, it had like a sour peanut butter taste, like I knew, I was like, all right, well, I at least got a little bit of alcohol going on. So.
Nice. All right, so you pitched it 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 C. And what yeast did you use? Did you get to pick a yeast, or was that part of the budget, or how did that work?
The yeast was not part of the budget, so I did get to pick a yeast. So I just went with what I always use, Red Star Daddy yeast. I mixed in a little bit of bread yeast too, just to kind of. It's just what I do at home. It always seems to work well. I like the the flavors that it puts off of it. So
cool. All right. So you come back 5 days later and it tastes thin and sour. So something happened.
Yeah.
We able to take a gravity reading before and after? Like, do you know what AB it was, or was it just all blind?
So they did tell us our gravity, but they didn't tell us till after we had got back after the 5 days, so they told us. So we were all kind of floating around 1.07 ABV.
Yeah.
So
okay, so just to cut back into what we were saying before, like this is the kind of quote unquote drama that's fun, right? Because it's actually based on what's happening. It's not like, oh, this person's pissed off at that person because this person stole that, and like secretly behind the scenes someone was like, yo, go steal that thing off him, and then whispering in someone else, that person's a prick, because like it's not schoolyard bullshit. It's I'm getting more on board with this all the time, which is, it's terrible in terms of how to actually produce booze, but in terms of ensuring that something interesting happens, like these are the kind of things that I would do if I was going to make a show like this.
And these are real distiller problems though too, because
totally.
Like really anything could happen. You never know when like your yeast is going to go bad and it's not gonna, it's not going to ferment.
Yeah.
Like, there's been times where I bought, yeast offline and it's been, completely dead. Like couldn't get it reactivated or anything. So
yeah, you just never know when it sits in a hot warehouse at 60 degrees Celsius for 2 months.
Yeah.
And, it's not going to work for you. All right. So you hit about, what was it? 0.07, 1.07.
Yep.
Gravity. And did yours ferment out? I imagine if it was tasting thin and sour, it was pretty close to dry, if not dry.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was completely dry, but it was pretty close.
Nice.
So, first distillation, just a straight pot to condenser distillation. So, crazy peanut butter smell like off the mash. So loading that in. Then they gave us like another 5 hours to, produce one good jar, our best jar, to the judges from there.
Oh, okay. So they gave you the time you needed to do the stripping run, basically.
Yeah.
And then we don't need like a full product. We just need one jar. Go away and make one jar.
One jar. But what, and like I said, I guess it's me not fully reading all the instructions and skim to the end. Because I wouldn't have stopped distilling if I had known, because I was just expecting to do the one jar. But you could actually use like your stripped runs and add it to your second run when you go to do that. So okay. I had less volume than I probably should have. So, but I turned in my jar and, I don't think the corn converted all the way out because I turned in about a jar. It's probably around 80 proof, and they're looking for about 100. So I had the lowest proof jar, but both my competitors, Devon and Faye, were right around the 100 mark.
Interesting. Okay, so did you add any other flavor in after, like in your final run, or was it or a maceration afterwards? Okay, you did.
So going towards going after that, they put us in order of best to worst, steel build parts. So when I did mine, I grabbed the thumper because I knew what I wanted to do, but I also grabbed a gin basket. So because I knew I needed to get that proof up as well. So one of the things I do is I put some of the banana in that gin basket for that second run, as well as added some more peanut butter. I'm not gonna say how much because I need to save that for what I got going on now. But
no, that's cool. So wait, did you have banana in the mash as well?
No. Okay, so this is where the banana came
only in the gin basket.
Yeah, okay. Bananas in the gin basket, and then I put some of the thumper as well.
Okay, yeah. And was that like banana slurry in the thumper? Or was it like, did you have the skins and everything in there, or just the banana?
Just the banana, and I sliced them up, put them in there, put some more of the mash in there that I had left because I didn't put the full 20 gallons in a 20-gallon pot, so I still had some mash left over too. and then the mash and what spirits I had back into the pot.
Nice. Okay, so and the peanut butter that went into the you put that in the gin basket, and that was powdered peanut butter, or was this actual peanut butter?
So the powdered peanut butter I mixed back in with the mash I had left over, so I almost macerated with the mash, and then put put some in the thumper and some back in the pot, and then
okay. So you've got peanut butter in the original mash, and then more peanut butter mixed in to the pot for the spirit run, and more peanut butter into the thumper for the spirit run.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, groovy. So this is banana peanut butter moonshine.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. All right. So did anything interesting happen on the run, or like what's your general strategy, and did it go according to plan?
Well, yeah. I mean, peanut butter straight through, like all the way from 4 shots, like down to the tails, like,
Awesome.
Banana didn't really carry over like I wanted it to, and the reason being, working with $30, if I didn't have a price constraint, I would have put more bananas in it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So it came across with heavy peanut butter taste with just like a hint of banana on the tail end.
Awesome. And when you're normally doing this, not on the show, but when you can just do what you want, is there any special considerations in terms of cuts or anything for this, or is it because the flavors just run all the way through and you just bump the banana up, you just run it like a normal run?
I just run it like a normal run, obviously tossing off 4 shots, and I'll toss off my first jar of heads, and then the rest of it I kind of just mix together till my tails are about maybe at 75 proof.
Awesome, man. So then the inevitable question is, how much did they make you guys sit around and wait to find out who won? Did they draw that out as well?
There was a term I heard the cast and crew use a good bit, and it was hurry up and wait. There's a lot of hurry up and wait. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it really was like they'll say, oh, we'll be right back. We're going to go taste this and we'll be right back. And I felt, we didn't wait all day, but I felt like we waited all day for it. I think all of us were just anticipation of like, well, what they think, like, are they dead? Yep. Did they make it? What happened?
Oh, that's hilarious. And we spoiled it. Well, I spoiled it earlier. You did win, which is awesome. Congratulations, man. That's freaking dope. And it sounds like you had some pretty stiff competition too. So that makes it even sweeter, right? Like, it's no fun, like winning in a landslide, right?
Oh no, definitely not. And like I said, it was stiff competition to where they started to get, when you get into the second round, they'll vote somebody off, and then it'll go into the last round, competing, almost like making a cocktail to sell.
Okay.
There was actually post flavoring after just the distillation as well to compete, as a final round, but. I thought the whole way through, like, I'm getting voted off this time. All right, like, I made it to the second round. Like her stuff tastes amazing. Like, I'm not gonna, tell my wife, I'm coming home. Like, it's not, and just when they told me I won, I was just in shock. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. Like, I didn't know how to act. It was just, yeah.
That's pretty cool. So why do you think, so in your head you judged, sorry, it was Faye? Was it Faye, wasn't it?
Yeah, Faye.
You judged in your head Faye's spirit to be better. What do you think it was about yours that the judges decided, why did they give the win to you?
Well, in my mind, and I do this when I make moonshine too. I go in the liquor store and I see what's on the shelf and what they have the most of, what they sell. And I think Faye did the same thing because I haven't heard of her drink before either. But I looked, there's not a peanut butter banana moonshine out there. And how I got the idea is that my wife is a huge Elvis fan. We got married in Graceland, like just she loves her some Elvis, and me not knowing anything about Elvis when we first met, I learned that peanut butter banana was like his go-to. He loved like fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches. So it kind of did it to pay tribute to him as well as my wife.
Awesome.
And I don't know how it is in New Zealand, but in America, everybody seems to love some part of Elvis. It just, I see it as a a lot of the show is about, can it be marketed?
Right. Okay. So they're taking into account the concept of the drink as well as
if it's going to sell.
So it's the concept of it. Does it have an interesting idea to sell? How good is it actually? And then just also the kind of the X factor of yum or not, rather than trying to be all technical about the ins and outs of the spirit itself. So that they're judging it in a more holistic, like bird's eye view. Is that what you're saying? They're kind of taking everything into account?
They're taking a lot more into account than just based off flavor and clarity of the liquor, as well as marketability too. Like if it, how it's gonna, do on the shelves,
Yeah. So the fact that you actually picked a theme to put with it gives it another level of something rather than just here's this thing that's yum.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
And that's just my assumption of it. They could have just really be huge peanut butter fans.
It's crazy. So what was the prize, dude? Like, what did you win?
So the prize is a limited run at Sugarlands Distillery. So when it comes my time, they'll put out so many of their jars that they'll sell exclusively at that distillery location in Gatlinburg.
Okay, cool. And do you get a profit share on that, or is it just a pride thing, or how does that work?
I can't really comment.
Can't say.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's fair enough.
But with that, there's a lot of bragging rights with it, as well as it gives you credibility to what you can do. There's at least in the area that I live in, there's a ton of moonshiners, like within, I don't know, a 200-mile radius. And everyone wants the same goal of, either making it big as a moonshiner or getting their stuff legal on the shelf, So it adds you to that almost elite group of moonshiners that gives you the opportunity to either partner with a distillery or have your own distillery.
That's awesome, dude. That's very cool. So that begs the question, where to from here, man? Like, what's the go now?
Well, the go now is I've actually, show aired in December. I've now have a distillery that I'm working with, South Mountain Distilling. They put out some great jars. One of my favorite is a pineapple upside down cake. And it is phenomenal. And then they have an ambrosia shine as well as a cinnamon shine. I mean, and it's all grain based. So it's not like a sugar shine that's flavored post distillate. Like it's, I've shopped around at different distilleries, and South Mountain really does things true to how I want to do things for the future, and really a family based company. Super happy about getting to partner up with them for them to make my jar a legal jar.
That's awesome, dude. So that has nothing to do with the Sugarlands thing, and you're not bound, like the IP, the recipe, they don't own it going forward. It's just they're going to do a limited run for you, and then you're free to do what you want after that with anyone else.
Yep. So they'll do literally one run at Sugarlands of it, and once it sells out, that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. It makes it an exclusive, buy it now or it's gone product. That's always kind of fun. Yeah. That's cool, man. So you're gonna partner up, and the sorry, what was the name of the distillery? I missed it.
South Mountain Distilling Company.
South Mountain Distilling Company. Shout out to South Mountain Distilling Company. I will be checking your website after this to learn about you. Cool. So, is that going to be an ongoing thing with them, or is it like, what's your plan there?
Yeah, we're we worked through a contract and licensing agreement with that. So as long as it sells and stays popular, I can see it being a long-term solution.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations. That's really cool. Oh, and is that their branding with something of yours slapped on, or your branding with something of theirs slapped on?
That's their branding with my, your
name will be on it.
Yeah. Like I said, we're just now in the beginning stages, but hope to get it on the shelves by the end of 2023, if not sooner.
That's awesome, man. Cool. And how's the production going to work with that? Like, are you going to go in and do the first batch with them, or is it you just sort of hand the recipe over and trust them that they'll get it right, or what's the plan there?
Well, the owner, Don, like, super great guy, like, wants me to be involved in it, and I absolutely want to be too. So, I think the next step for us is getting an approved label, as well as scaling the recipe up from 20 gallons to the size tanks they have, which is pretty significantly different.
Yeah. So you're at least aware of the fact that it may not scale linearly. Like, you may need to scale the recipe up and then tweak it. You just don't know. Like,
oh yeah, and yep, and that's where without getting too much in the process, but we got a plan in place to get the best tasting product that's closest to what I got.
That's awesome, dude. Very, very cool. And what about? I'm sure there's a little voice in the back of your head that's yelling that you should start a distillery. What about that?
I grew up in a small town, Stanley, North Carolina. Shout out to them. And there's been an old mill there that's been there for as long as I can remember, just sitting there empty. If I ever win the lottery, or the chance ever comes up, I would love to at least turn part of that mill into a winery / distillery that has like a concert hall, like I say, a restaurant. Like, I could totally see it setting up. I've been to Guinness and Jameson. Like, I love their setup in Ireland, and I would love to mirror something like that, without being sued for copyright.
Yeah, awesome, dude. So you like the idea of not just having a distillery, you like the idea of it being a destination and a hangout spot and like a local kind of community icon.
Oh yeah,
where people
absolutely.
meet and have a feed, and you can. So it's the sort of place where you can bring the kids along and hang out, not go drinking, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, just local music there, like restaurant. I love that they have like the mill, like smoke tower. Like, reminds me so much of Guinness. They have a water tower back there. I would love to paint like something crazy on there, like Billy Bob Loves Charlene, like from a Joe Diffie song, like something crazy.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's an awesome idea. Well, you never know, dude. You never know. I wish you the very best luck for that. And if anything does happen, dude, make sure you reach out and let us know. Speaking of which, actually, if there's people out there that are just kind of thinking it's pretty damn cool what you're doing, and they want to get updates on, when the limited run and the other run are going to be coming out, where should they catch you and follow you, dude?
They can follow me at Instagram at Master Distiller Big Nick, or I have a Facebook page at Master Distiller Big Nick Kalo. So either one of those or both of those. Like I said, I always try to put frequent updates on there, and not even so much as what I'm doing, but what I enjoy. If there's other videos going on, moonshine related, I always try to share everything I can.
Okay, cool. So it's not just about what you're doing. It's just cool stuff in the space as well.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
Majority of what I'm doing, with a little bit of extra stuff going on.
That's fair enough, dude. Very cool. All right, man. This has been an absolute pleasure, dude. And you have convinced me to go back and give Master Distiller a proper go, and that I've been unfair to it. So I need to do that. What I also need to do is I think I'm going to have to try your recipe. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I love it. I constantly have people, want to try it out and try to do it. And yeah, I challenge you to it. Like, it's, let me know how it turns out. And, well, if you do it on video, I'll definitely be watching it. So I'll add some comments in there on it.
Yeah, cool. Have you got any tips for me to try it? Because I know you used, I don't know if we mentioned it in this video, but looking beforehand, I think it was Bloody Butcher that you used, or you used a portion of Bloody Butcher, wasn't it?
Yep, portion of Bloody Butcher, some Blue Hopi, green Oxycan, some really good heirloom corns. But honestly, when people ask me, the best place to start is just a regular corn whiskey. If you go and pick up some cornmeal, it's a good place to get started. Cornmeal and powdered peanut butter.
Okay, so you think just like yellow dent is close enough? It won't make a huge difference to what you're doing.
Absolutely. The heirloom corn, I love using it, and it's really, I really used it because it's what I had on hand. But right. I normally use those heirloom corns when I'm just doing like a nice sipping whiskey that I'm going to age, because those flavor notes really carry over. But with the peanut butter, it really masks all that stuff that you're getting from those heirloom corns.
Right, like the peanut butter's a giant sledgehammer of a flavor, and the corn's a delicate little adjustment from standard corn. So
yeah. Okay, and when you go to watch the show, you'll hear the judge say it's like a mouthful of peanut butter.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm keen to try this. I just realized too, we haven't talked about or discussed why you went with powdered peanut butter, which seemed obvious. We talked about this beforehand, and it seemed obvious after you mentioned it. But tell us the idea there, dude.
Well, on my journey doing peanut butter alcohol, I went and bought like 2-3 different varieties of it, and they're all post flavored. So huge oily flavor, or it's very heavy on the mouth. And I was like, there's got to be a way to do it, like pre-distillation So I started out using jar peanut butter, and it would leave like such a layer of oil on top. Like you'd have to siphon it off or try to get the oil out before.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I started doing research about how like peanut butter beers are made.
Okay.
And I found a Reddit where someone was like, use powdered peanut butter, like majority of that fat and oil is taken out, so it's not sitting on top. Yeah, and it worked like a charm. I actually, prior to doing this, I did a peanut butter rum with it. That's interesting. It turned out phenomenal.
That's awesome, dude. All right, man. You've laid down the challenge. I need to. I'll give it a go. I'll commit to it now. All I need to do is I just need to find some powdered peanut butter, which I can't imagine can be that hard. I'll be able to find it somehow. I'm not sure if I'll do your recipe exactly or maybe put a slight twist on it. We'll see, because I'll have different equipment and so on and so forth. But it sounds really fun, man. Sounds like a really cool ingredient to play with at the very least. So this has been an absolute blast, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. I thoroughly appreciate it. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on what's happening next. Drop those social media links for us one last time, dude. Let people know what your handles are.
Instagram at Master Distiller Big Nick, and Facebook page Master Distiller Big Nick Kalo.
All right, man. This has been a pleasure. I hope everyone at home, if you're interested, follow up. Make sure you know what Nick's doing, and when these releases drop, you can grab yourself a jar.
Absolutely. It's been awesome. Like, huge fan of the show. I've been following you since I've started distilling. So
that's awesome, man. Awesome. All right. See you later, everyone. So a huge thank you to Nick Carlo for joining us on the podcast. I thoroughly appreciate it, mate, and I appreciate all the information you've given us. Once again, all of his details will be in the description below this video or this podcast. I'll catch you next time, team. See ya.